what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I am Chad, the Reseller Rockefeller. If you're new to the channel, I'm a full-time reseller. I've been buying and selling stuff 15 years now. I mainly do estate liquidations. We do estate buyouts. We also do estate sales, things of that nature. And I'm also just a, freelance picker. I pretty much go around and just by word of mouth and some advertising, I'm always going to people's houses and warehouses and doing private picks, just buying stuff. I also do yard sales, estate sales, flea markets, Goodwills, thrift stores. I pretty much source anywhere and everywhere. So if you're into reselling, if you're thinking about becoming a reseller, or maybe you already are a reseller and you just like to learn new things or interact with resellers, this is the channel for you. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, I really would appreciate it. Go down there, hit that subscribe button, and just stick around. We're going to have some more videos coming soon. So today we're actually going to be talking about a few different things. It's been a while since I just sat, face to face with the camera and talked to fellow resellers out there. We're going to be talking about how to build value and add value to items. This is something that I think is extremely important in the reselling business. And I see so many resellers, they don't really pay attention to this. They don't really care about it, or they don't understand it. So I'm definitely going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about how to build your knowledge up, how to get a good grasp on understanding, not the reselling business, but understanding, how to source, how to go out there and actually productively find good, profitable items, no matter where you live. I see there's so many resellers out there that complain about not being able to find good stuff, or maybe they only source at like certain locations. Like there's tons of resellers that only go to thrift stores. I'm not sure if they think that thrift stores is the only place to buy stuff, but it seems to me that they just don't have, the knowledge or the understanding to get out there and find other places to source for inventory. And so I'm going to be talking about that. We're also just going to be talking about other things in general. Basically, it's just going to go on and on. So if you're ready to listen, I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to help you in any way possible. I hope that you can take something from this video and apply it to your daily system or your daily, business or whatever the case may be. So let's jump right into it. How to add value, and this is something that I honestly think that so many resellers struggle with. It seems to me that sometimes I'll even talk to a veteran reseller, somebody that's been in the business for years, and I'll talk to them and I'll try to interact with them and carry a conversation with them. And when we start talking about this topic, it seems like they have no clue what I'm talking about. They agree with me, but they have no clue what I'm talking about. So, adding value to an item, when I say those words, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of you, the first thing that pops into your head should be things that you can do to add value to your item. Now, there's numerous reasons why you would want to add value to your item, and one of those reasons is because maybe sometimes you just feel that your item is worth more than what it recently sold for. And this is a big problem in the reselling community as of right now. There's so many resellers on YouTube, there's so many resellers on Facebook, and there's so many newer resellers that are just now getting into the business. And it seems to me that most of them just believe in one method and one method only in pricing an item. And that is just going on eBay and looking at completed listings. Now, I don't disagree with you. That is one way to kind of see what an item is selling for, but there is numerous ways to there's numerous ways that I use to price an item. I don't know about everybody out there, but me, myself, we use multiple different ways to price an item. So when I'm trying to figure out what an item's worth, basically I try to do as many things as possible. First thing that I'm going to do though is I'm going to look it up on eBay. I'm going to look it up on active listings, and I'm also going to look it up on completed listings, sold items. You know, eBay, if you look it up on completed listings, you're going to see what that item sold for in the last 90 days. They only keep a record going back 90 days. And so that's my starting point, because it is one of the best methods. Because honestly, your item is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. So to get a good idea of what that average person is paying for that item is to look at previously sold items that are similar to yours. Obviously, each item is not the same. Even though it is the same model, it is the same make, doesn't mean it's the same item, obviously. Your item is going to be different than their item. Unless you're dealing with a completely brand new item, then it is obviously the same exact item. But when we're talking about used items, every item is going to be different, especially when we're talking about condition, when we're talking about accessories. You know, things can go up and down in value depending on their condition and depending upon, you know, what comes with it, all that good stuff. So the first thing that I do is I look the item up and I'm trying to get a good idea of how many of this item is for sale. But when it comes down to me personally, I buy and sell a lot of antiques and collectibles. So when I go to eBay to look up an item, I'm actually hoping and praying that I don't find another one listed. Now, obviously, most of the times, you know, in rare occasions, I won't find it under completed listings, but most of the time, I'm going to be able to find at least that item that I'm looking for or one very similar to it under completed listings. And so basically, I'm going to value my item based on those two things. How many are listed, what are people selling it for, and also how many have sold in the last 90 days and what did they sell for. I'm also going to value it on my knowledge. My own knowledge is very important because, you know, maybe I have sold this item in the past, or maybe I'm, you know, knowledgeable enough to know that this item is more, you know, scarce now or more rare because, you know, it's not that common that the item comes up on the market. Or maybe I have, you know, a feeling that this item is just going to bring more money because of the time of the year. There's numerous things that my knowledge is going to be able to help me into pricing an item. So I'm also going to use my knowledge. Another thing that I'm going to use is I'm going to try to figure out if my item is comparable to the items that recently sold. So if I go and I look at completed listings, just because the last 5 of whatever item sold for $50 doesn't technically mean that my item is going to sell for $50. My item might be in better condition. My item might be in worse condition. So you have to pay attention to those things. You're going to have to go look at the listings. You need to make sure that your item is, you know, relatively comparable to those items. I see so many resellers that don't do that. They'll just go on eBay, they'll look at completed listings, and they will literally price their items based on the last few that sold, and they don't pay attention to the condition. They don't pay attention to, you know, look at the last one that sold and see, did he have extras? Was it a bundle deal? You know, anything. They don't look at any of the details regarding the last items that sold. They basically just look right at the price. They make sure, somewhat make sure if it's the same item, and that's it. And that's a big mistake. That's a big no-no in this business. So if you're watching this video and you're the kind of person that does that, you're doing a disservice to your business, and you're probably going to make issues arise later on down the road. So, you know, you need to pay attention to those details. You need to figure out, you know, if your item is comparable to those. Now, you know, back to adding value. Adding value is a very important thing. You can add value to items multiple different ways, and I'm going to give you an example on how somebody adds value to their item. So I am a big fan of the Crazy Picker Life on YouTube. They are a camera family. They buy and sell cameras. They also, they're a reselling family. They all do it. Him, his wife, and his children. It's a great YouTube channel. Not only are they funny, they're truly knowledgeable about reselling. They've been in the business for quite some time. And I can relate a lot to them because, I grew up in a reselling family where pretty much everybody in my family was resellers. So anyways, if you pay attention to their channel and if you pay attention to the kinds of items that they sell, they add value to their items. And the reason that they add value and how they add value is because they focused within a niche and they've mastered that niche. So they buy and sell cameras and they do everything. They investigate an item, they test an item 100%, they look through every feature an item has, and they put guarantees on their stuff. If they say it's working, then they're going to guarantee it. They are professionals, and that's how you add value. So they're able to get, right at fair market value, but they're also sometimes they're willing to get more money. They're able to get more money because they are professionals and because they have mastered that niche. So that is one really good way that you can add value to an item. If you are a clothing salesman or you buy and sell only clothing and that's your niche, then you need to learn everything there is about clothing. You're going to be able to add value because you are a clothing expert. You can also add value by, taking better photos. So if you go to the completed listings and you're looking at an item that recently sold, and the last 5 items that sold had horrible photos, horrible titles, their descriptions were very short and brief, they didn't give any good details, then you're obviously going to be able to price your item a little higher, and you're going to be able to add value, and you're going to be able to sell your item for a little bit more than what previous resellers or sellers have sold it for because of those small details. And these are things that I do on a daily basis. These are things that I implement into my business pretty much every time I list an item. You don't understand how many times I've went to eBay and I was looking up an item to see what I should value the item at, and I ended up selling the item for 5 or 10% more than what it previously sold for the last 5 or 10 times. And it was because I added value, and it was because I knew the market, I knew what item I had, and I wasn't scared to list an item higher than what people have sold it for. That's another really big mistake that I see people do all the time. Just because somebody's willing to sell an item for cheap doesn't mean that's what it's worth. And I think too many resellers, they fall victim to this supposed fact that, when you look an item up, an item is only worth what it says it's worth. And they look at completed listings as like the go-to god of value in an item. And I don't think that's the correct way. I have sold items repetitively over and over again for more than what they previously sold for. And it's because I'm not scared to list an item for more than what it previously sold for. If I believe that I can get more money, then I'm going to list it at what I think is the value of the item. All I'm doing is using eBay as a stepping stone to figure out the value for my item. Sometimes I will agree with eBay and I will price an item accordingly. Sometimes I will not agree with what an item has sold for, and I will list an item for cheaper than what it was previously sold for. But most of the times I'm pricing items either right at what they have sold for or above what they have sold for. So these are 2 big key features in the reselling business that you have to understand. And another thing is you can't be afraid to hold on to an item. I understand that everybody's business model is different. I understand that. There's some resellers that will not hold an item for more than a week. There's some resellers that want to move their items within a matter of days. These kinds of resellers, everybody's different. Everybody's going to have a different business model, a different system. But if you're in the reselling business, for the most part, you should not be scared to hold on to an item, especially if you have nothing in the item. If I'm buying items for $5 and I'm selling them for $50, why does it matter if I sell it in a week or 3 months? It really doesn't matter. Obviously, if your item was the size of a refrigerator and you had to store it in your house, then yes, I would try to sell that item extremely fast, even if I was only making a very small profit margin. But if it's a smaller item, a piece of jewelry, an article of clothing, a camera, a stereo, things of that nature, it doesn't really matter if you're making those kinds of profit margins and you're willing to hold out to get that premium price that you think that item deserves, then by all means you need to do that. There's too many resellers out there failing in this business because they don't understand the last 3 things that I spoke about. And this is a big issue in the reselling business, is that there's so many resellers out there that are on YouTube teaching you things that are not really, irrelevant, or they're just teaching you what they do, or how they run a business. Instead of you learning how to run your business yourself and implementing different little things that you learn from different resellers, that's really the way that you should do it. When I first started reselling, there wasn't no YouTube. There wasn't anybody to teach me how to become a reseller other than my father and a few, friends of my father. I used to watch them on a daily basis. I used to see how they do things. But basically, I learned how to buy and sell things on my own, and then later on in life, I was introduced to a whole new era of the internet and YouTube and bloggers and, different things, and reselling has taken off since then. And so now we're in an era where you can get all of this information given right to you in a matter of minutes. But there's so many different resellers, and there's so many different methods and systems to this business, and there's so many different opinions and suggestions, and it kind of can confuse you. So another real big problem that I see within the reselling community is that I see too many resellers following other resellers and replicating their business. And this is a problem that I've seen so many times, it's not even funny. And then they want to go to, say they're following a reseller's YouTube channel, and they became a reseller because they were watching this said YouTuber. And then later on down the road, their business starts to fail, and they start to wonder why it's failing. And they don't realize why it's failing. So they go back to that YouTube channel and they ask that person, hey, what's going on? I'm doing everything you told me, but my business is failing. Well, it most likely is because you followed that reseller's business model and you didn't just figure things out. You didn't just do your own thing. When you end up following somebody's business model, the only thing that you end up doing is replicating their business, and you end up doing the exact same thing as pretty much, like say somebody had a YouTube channel and he had 100,000 subscribers. How many of those subscribers do you think are following this exact business model or his exact buying strategy? Most of these resellers that have bigger, YouTube channels, they have tons of followers. And if they tell you that the BOLO list, say they give out a BOLO list that's, 5 or 10 items, say if only 10% or 20% of their followers, they run out and go buy those items, you're going to be one of those exact 10% that are running out and buying those items, and you're going to be listing those items. So you're pretty much replicating their business, but their business has been replicated so many times, and the items that they're buying, it's so many people doing the same thing, and so that's why you're going to fail. You need to focus on building your own business, doing things the way that you want to do it, building your knowledge, and using resellers on social media to just up your game. You don't want to replicate somebody's business. That's another big mistake that I see people making. And I also wouldn't think that it would be, you know, something that you want to do, just because I think building your knowledge and learning is something that's so important later on down the road. If you're just following another reseller and you're just replicating their business, you're not really getting out there and getting your hands and feet dirty. You're not really, you know, motivated to learn, because you're reliant on that YouTuber or that reseller. And so that's why I always, from the very beginning when I made this channel, I always tried to explain that I'm not here to teach you. I don't want people to follow me. I want people to follow my channel. I didn't mean it that way. I meant I don't want people to follow my business model or replicate my business. I want people to just learn from me, take, you know, advice from me, take what I have to say and kind of mold it into their own business. And then you're going to be 5 times more successful than you would if you tried to just replicate my business. I think also that it kind of happens without people even really noticing that it's happening. I don't think that people intentionally try to replicate somebody's business, but I think it just naturally happens because that's just the way that humans are. We watch something and we hear them talking about certain items, and then when you go out to yard sales and estate sales, you're buying those exact same items. Or when you're watching a video and somebody's showing you their haul video, the next time that you go out and you see those items, you automatically buy them because it's fresh in your mind. And so I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm not saying that, you know, you're destined to fail if you do these things. All I'm saying is that it's probably not the best way for you to start your reselling business by following another reseller or replicating another reseller's business. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. So anyways, another thing that I also wanted to share was a little bit of information about the estate. I mentioned it in a previous video. It was actually my last video that I uploaded. So I also wanted to give an update on that estate. So far so good. I've been, you know, corresponding with the homeowner back and forth. I went over there a few days ago and we sat down for about an hour and we kind of talked it out, you know. When you're dealing with somebody's estate and you're going to buy, well, in this circumstance, I'm not buying any items, but I'm going to be selling off his items. But anyways, you know, when somebody is in a situation where they're going to be selling the majority of their home, you know, their items, their precious items, things get kind of, you know, they kind of get, you know, tricky. You know, you have to be able to deal with certain situations, and this is exactly one of those. The gentleman is kind of skeptical. He doesn't really understand the reselling business. He doesn't understand, you know, how things work, and he's kind of skeptical. So I've been, you know, talking to him and trying to reassure him that we're professionals and that we know what we're doing. And it's, you know, it's all a part of the game, though. If you ever think about, you know, getting into reselling, and you're especially if you're thinking about getting into like estate liquidation side of reselling, you better be prepared that, you know, later on down the road, if you do this, you're gonna have to prepare yourself for awkward situations. You're gonna have to prepare yourself to be somewhat of a salesperson. You know, you're gonna have to be able to talk to people, interact with people, and get them to not only trust you, but have faith in you and have faith in your business. So, you know, over the years, I have accumulated tons of knowledge regarding estate liquidations and liquidating people's estates. And it has gave me, you know, the ability to not only talk to people, but to also come off as a person that knows what he's doing. And so, you know, people are usually really fond of me after a sale, but before the sale, they don't really know much about me, and they don't really know what's going to take place, and especially when you're dealing with the entire contents of somebody's life. I mean, this guy is looking to sell everything that he's owned for the last 30 to 40 plus years, and literally he's just going to be moving away with whatever really fits in his car. He's not really going to be taking anything. And so it's kind of a hard decision for him to make, and he doesn't really know how to wrap his head around it. So, you know, the thing that I can do is to just help him and reassure him that everything is going to be fine and that all of his items are going to get sold and he's going to make a bunch of money, and he's going to at the end, he's going to get exactly what he wants, which is his entire contents liquidated. So, you know, we talked and we talked. We also were talking about some of the vehicles that he has for sale. He has a few rare cars that I tried to do some research on. I'm going to have to do some more research, but I really don't want to put too much time or energy into this until he signs the contract. It's a big mistake for anybody that's in this business to devote like too much time and it not end up going through, because then it's just you wasted a bunch of time. I mean, I understand that there's a lot of money to be made when you're liquidating an estate like this, you know, $1.5 to $2 million estate. You know, commission on that kind of estate is going to be very, very healthy. But there also is a possibility that he doesn't go through with it. So if I dedicate, you know, weeks and weeks and bunches of hours and all of this into it for him to just back out, it would really be you know, it would be upsetting and it would be kind of depressing and sad. So I don't really try to get too, you know, involved and emotional or, you know, attached to something. I try to stay back and keep my distance because you never know what's going to happen. So, but other than that, we've talked it out. I'm pretty sure that he's going to be signing the contract soon. And once he signs the contract, I'm going to be able to bring you guys along. We're going to take the cameras, we're going to go inside the house, we're going to do a walkthrough, and then we're going to get straight to work. We're going to start processing the items, we're going to start inventorying everything, photographing some items, and I think it's going to be really fun, it's going to be really exciting, and there's so many cool items I can't wait to show you. There is tons of really cool stuff. And it's just going to be really good content. So if that's something that you're into, definitely stick around. If for some reason it doesn't end up happening, I don't know what to tell you. You're not going to be getting any content and I'm going to miss out on a super good estate. But I think that it's going to go through. I'm almost 100% positive. Other than that, folks, my business has been going really good. You know, eBay is steady. Etsy is pretty steady. Poshmark, I haven't really been messing with too much, but I sell a few items every now and then. Mercari's been actually going pretty good. I don't know if I said it in previous videos or not, but I started Mercari about 3 months ago, and so far so good. I'm selling like 1 to 2 items a day, and I'm starting to fill it out, and I actually like it. So we're going to start listing some more items on Mercari, see how, you know, how much inventory we can actually get on Mercari. If you're looking to cross-post and you're looking to do multiple platforms, make sure that you're being extra careful. Make sure you know what you're doing. I really wouldn't recommend, you know, cross-posting to multiple platforms unless you know exactly what you're doing. One thing also is, you know, being super organized, you know, at the new house that we just moved into has helped me tremendously. My new office, my warehouse, ever since we moved in, I have been paying really close attention to just being organized. You know, I think in the reselling business, if you're organized, you're way more productive, and it actually gives you a gratification of, you know, happiness, and I don't know, it just makes me feel way better when I'm organized. And it's one thing that I actually see a lot of resellers struggling with, you know, just having stuff all over the place. They don't really have any organization. They don't have any kind of method to their madness. They just kind of put items here. They put items there. They have everything piled up on top of each other. And it can really make you, you know, it can make you like just real down and out. And I've noticed ever since I've always been somewhat organized, but for me, I'm really picky. I'm really kind of OCD about things. So when things are really organized, and every day when I wake up and I go to list or I go to, you know, pack and ship orders, I can immediately find each item. I know where everything is at. It just seems to brighten my day. It makes things go a lot smoother, and it just makes it to where I don't get the headache and I don't have to stress, and it just makes me much more happier in general. So I recommend that to all of you out there. If you're not organized and you have somewhat of a mess, or if you just have a horrible, you know, pile of items, get organized and see how much different your business operates. You're going to be thanking me in the comments. You're going to come back to this video and you're going to be thanking me. I promise you that. So if you're not organized, get up, get out there, and get organized. It can really help out your reselling business. Don't be scared to invest in your business. Go out there, buy the right shelving, get the bins. You know, I don't know, everybody does, you know, everybody has a different system. I'm not saying to switch up your system or to, you know, do anything that's going to disrupt your business or disrupt your business. I'm saying just organize and do it the way that you want to do it, in what way that works best for you. But all I'm saying is to actually do it and to get organized, because it's actually going to help you out. And I think that it helps me out tremendously. I've talked to other resellers and it seems to be helping them out too. So I hope that it can help you out. Other than that, I don't really know what else to talk about. I've been listing items like crazy ever since I built this new photo booth in my house, which this photo booth has turned out great. If you haven't checked out my last video, I know that I don't really go too much into detail about it because there's not really that much to talk about. It's a very simple setup. There's not really anything to it. There's nothing like special that I didn't tell you. It's very simple, very affordable. If you haven't seen that video and you're looking to upgrade your photo booth, or you're thinking about building your first photo booth, go check out that video. It is the last video that I uploaded. So yeah, it's worked out wonderful. I mean, I've been listing items like crazy. I've so far like listed like almost 200 and something items in the past couple of days, which, you know, for me, that's pretty good, you know, because I deal in a lot of really oddball items. I don't really deal in multiple quantity listings. I don't deal in, you know, strictly one category. So for me, and I also, you know, I'm by myself. I don't have anybody that works for me. I do hire people every now and then, but ever since I've been at the new house, I've been doing things completely by myself. So those many, you know, that many items for me, that's a lot. It's an accomplishment, and I'm really proud of myself. I pat myself on the back. But yeah, the photo booth has helped out a lot. I've been listing items, and I'm gonna keep listing items because sales have been going extremely good. Obviously, I've listed so many items in the past couple of days, and I've made, you know, some pretty good money. I think I did, last week, I mean, I did actually extremely well, something like 14,000, something like that last week, so that was really good, and I hope to have another week the same or even better as that, you know, so everything's going good with me. I really appreciate everybody that came by and watched this video. If you don't mind, go down there and hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.